Okay, and welcome back to another one of our streams, and we're going to be playing Arrancha Springs by richnufc 99, who is one of the blue team alternates. Now, we're playing a couple of courses by alternates tonight, and both of these guys really stepped up. It was great seeing a lot of the blue team alternates. I think as a group, we got a lot of really good courses, and Matt's got some tricky decisions to make if people don't make the final cut. So we're going to play Rich's. Hey, who dat? So we've got some notes. Play from white tees. Default greens are 178, but can be played to 187. We'll play at 178. Lots of space off the tee. Fairways are undulating. Excellent. Kicker and backstop slopes. Fun. Standard CC difficulty and based on Scottsdale style courses. Love that. So for my money, I don't think we see enough of. I haven't loaded it up, but I've got a rough idea of what's going on. Having seen this come together, we don't see enough of these like Arizona desert style courses that are done properly, and like we see step used a lot creatively. We don't really see that traditional style of desert step course as much as I think perhaps we could. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one. Big old clubhouse, ravine sort of area, low lighting, got some cacti as you would expect. Okay. Yeah, very much a desert step style course. And we've got some big views. Let's zoom all the way out, see what we got. I love the big water feature, I think that's really cool. We've got one hole coming back down there. Holes kind of really spread out. Ooh, what have we got over here? So like a hotel sort of complex thing. That's cool. I don't really know what the triangles are for. Maybe just a flag of some sort. I don't know. Lost on me some tennis courts and stuff. Cool. Big step kind of feel. I mean, already really looking forward to these holes. I think those are going to look fantastic. Yeah, I like the way he's kind of tiered some of these fairways for like little overlooks and things. I think that tends to work really nicely. So yeah, let's get into this. Now, Rich is someone who has done a fair few courses. He's been involved in the design league stuff, and is still very much improving. So opening hole. There's a slope. Big green, lots of slope. Interesting contours. Like I think you can see there's 4 distinct pin positions. He squeezed one on the front here, so pin 3 probably the hardest on this green. We've got one in that little bowl, I would imagine. One up on here with that mound and one back here. So this is probably as big of a green as I would go for, I would suggest. I really like that the clubhouse is very clearly in view. How do we get off the tee and where we're going? So we're a bit stuck. Wait, I guess you can walk back over here. And then, I mean, I'm not a real stickler for this, but I think we do need a way to get to the... Okay, so that's how we do it. We play the tee shot and then we come back over. Fine, thank goodness. And I am glad that we didn't go with a gratuitous bridge. Bunker sculpting is okay. I think it could be better, and that's probably really frustrating to hear because I suspect you probably spent ages on them. But like this bit, for example, should probably be lower. These little fingers are a bit too narrow, which is why they've been difficult to sculpt and why it's going so far down and then up again. Because just the shape is kind of causing you all sorts of sculpting issues. There's a weird wonky spline here, and I'm not quite sure why. I suspect there might be one little bit of bunker brush somewhere buried here. Or you filled this in with shapes. Actually, that'll be what it is. You filled this in with shapes and it's kind of cut across the light rough a little bit. So a couple of little technical bits. I do like the way these bunkers bleed into the natural terrain. I think that looks really good. Works well. Yeah. So I mean, the more this side we are, there's a little speed slot, and that'll allow us to get around this bunker. Just think bunker shaping is going to be one of those things that's a constant on this course. I don't think it's quite there, which I know was a real focus of Rich's. T-box is a little unflat. It's not massively worrying. Sightline generally very good. Really like the big long open sightline, and the fact that we've got trees in here really helps to block off the view. But yeah, like it. Oh, I did not want 95%. Get a big bounce against the slope. No chance. I mean, the generous cut of light rough would definitely suggest CC. As with the big green. Now, sculpting wise, this bit at the back isn't great. I think if you're going to have this big mound, they tend to work better if you have the mound up and then drop the land and then flatten it out here. You don't really want people bouncing to here and then suddenly the ball really accelerates and drops off. Now, few people are going to use this, but there might be the odd one. So I think really, really scrutinise your sculpting, because I suspect this is just like an area that you haven't really checked. Is it OB long? I doubt it. No. I mean, you have to really be going some to hit out OB, but I think that's why you also be really forgiving with how flattened this is. Now, wind is giving us all sorts of problems with this green as well. That second bunker, I think, could sit better. Just drop the land in front of it a bit. Hey, Justin. Hey, Tyson. Okay, enough talking. Let's just hit a shot. And we get a red fast. Happy days. Hey, Lisi. Jay. I will also say, I think here you can see you're having some jagged issues with the light rough here. That's because you've wrapped the fairway too tight to this bunker. If you're going to do that, you've got to use splines, and you don't really want to use splines. Just give the bunker a bit more room to breathe. So if we see where this light rough is, you want to drag it here, sort of area, give like that amount of spacing. That'll also allow you to sculpt the bunker a bit better. Well, we're playing this hole atrociously. And we've gone long, and we're going to bogey the first hole again. Yeah, you can. It's basically you walk back to the clubhouse and then there's a little path on. So there was a way. Oh, we're not bogeying the first. Hallelujah. I do like the planting. I think it works nicely. And agree, it doesn't really matter. This looks lovely. Jeez, there's another tough pin. I think in terms of balancing your pins, you've now had 2 in a row for your first 2 holes, admittedly, that have been kind of tucked pretty front against a hard left to right slope. Right, I think we can balance those a little bit more. Bunting here looks good. I'm not going to go too far up and look at it all, but I want to see just what you're letting us see. It is. It's a really unique, not a unique look, but it's a look that we don't see enough. Which I'm really glad he went and took on. I think it matches with the lighting. Oh, come on, go a little. Yeah, and again, I think here, I know we've got a backstop, but I'd like this also. If we're not doing a runoff, let's have it so if we're bouncing here, we're not just stopping dead short of the green. I try and allow people, if you have this flat, I'd suggest when you're playtesting, try and think, well, where could people land? And like, as much as this backstop is offering forgiveness, let's offer a little bit short. People who are trying to run the ball on rather than stopping in an upslope. Hey Alan, you are up after this one. We've only just got started though. Hope birthday party went well. Yeah, I think planting looks really good. There's a lot of different colours, but I think because of the lighting they kind of blend nicely. Like, it doesn't seem too eye-popping here. So we talked about the bunker shaping. Again, I think it's just gotten a little small on you. So like anyone would struggle to sculpt this because you just haven't got enough space between these points. And so that's kind of a, yeah, where we move. I mean, there aren't that many plants that no one else uses. This one, everything else I've seen used. I like the green. Yeah, that'll be us in a few years. Oh, glad you made it through. Ah, that is not a good swing. Please get a lucky kick. So, I'm talk about this bunker a little bit because you'll notice you're kind of, the sculpting isn't quite there with this one. A lot of that is because you're kind of fighting the land with it. So because the land is dropping down here, then you've got to up to the fairway, then down. There's not a lot of depth that you can give this bunker unless you drop this side even further, which is just really difficult sculpting to do. But I mean, you can do it better. It's just, it takes some practice. I'd probably like to see the fairway just hug this water's edge, like let people play close to it if they want to. Same with this bunker and this one. In fact, all of them on the high side of the fairway. I think you're fine with these ones because this side's going down. It's where this side's going needs to be high because you want to see the definition against the fairway. But then you've also got this side trying to be high, and it's just difficult. Whereas actually these ones blended with the little landscape, the waste areas, and these look really good. And I do like that planting. I think that's lovely. Hiya Wayne, thank you very much, buddy. We have only just started, and we're not playing very well, and it's getting worse. But that's okay. Everybody will take that. Up 7. I don't think we want quite that. One kind of aesthetic thing that I'm not sold on is the rocks at the back. There's a shot. I don't think they really. There's. We'll come to them when we see them properly. Do you think the little bridges and fences and things you've done really add to it? I'm hoping that because we've had a couple of holes by the water, you've routed it carefully and good. We're not going straight, having a glut of water holes. Okay, so we definitely have a helping slope running us down onto kind of a punch bowlish green. I think I would like this hole a lot better if I couldn't reach it. Because for me it just takes... So what's the worst case if we miss this? Where can we miss this really badly? If we miss long left... Yeah, don't worry, you won't see good golf. Long left would be difficult, but not insurmountable. That's about it, really. Right. I do like the rock work here. I think you can get away with using some bigger ones and a few of the smaller ones, rather than lots of the small ones. I'm also not entirely sold on this grass choice. I think it just looks a little lush for the desert, rather than... If we had a slightly whiter, more burnt out one, I think that might fit my eye a little better. So I feel like this is just a no-brainer of a decision of go for it, and it's quite a good shot, granted, but I just don't see what the worst miss ever was going to be with this one. We do have some green sculpting issues in that everything is coming down to this point, and whilst I'm not the biggest stickler for like puddles on greens, certainly I'll point them out on playthroughs because I think generally it's a good rule of thumb. But I think this one's pretty severe. Well, that's made up for some shots. I do like the rocky backdrop with this one. I really like the green side. I think it would just play a ton better if it wasn't drivable. Oh, that is a feisty little pin. again, like the environment work you've done is really good. Like, it is a good look. It's not done enough, and I think you've nailed it with like the native areas versus the like the more manicured, maintained areas. Strategically, I think these bunkers are kind of all doing the same job, and whilst we're increasing the width a huge amount with these, what I think would be better is if you angled them more on a diagonal, so starting 1, 2 and 3, and you'll see me do this a ton, and like that way it's, for the moment, every inch I go further right brings me a tiny bit of extra reward. What we kind of want is every inch further right brings you a lot of reward and more risk, so the more diagonal you can go, really, the more that happens. And you want to find that medium. I tend to go like, if you're imagining kind of a 45-degree angle is a good starting point with those, because if I clear this one, well, I might as well go over here and I'm probably still clearing. But there's not much decision between there and there. I also think it kind of lends to your fairway looking almost a little comically wide. Like, we are looking super wide from here to here. And I think you've got the angles. Like, the design is good. We want to be coming in from the right hand side so we can look down the green. Coming from this side, we're going over a bunker, we've got less green to work with. But you can access those little kicker slopes and things. But I think you can take those angles and just refine them so that you don't need a 100-yard wide fairway to do it. And when you do that, that's when your design will get really, really good. I mean, I'm clearing all of those bunkers with no issue. It would be cool to have it where it's diagonal so that if I go too far right, I'm probably not, and get too greedy, I'm probably not carrying it, whereas on the left I can always carry it, but I don't get as much reward, that sort of thing. The runoff at the back is interesting. It's a bit of a big runoff, but I don't mind it. And generally I'd avoid these little slopes that are just kind of near the edge of the green, pushing us off the edge of the green, because it's rendering this part of the green essentially useless. We can't put a pin there. It's basically saying from here onwards you're kind of not able to pin. Whereas if we take that little slope and put it either off the green, so you miss the green and you kick a bit further, or move it on the green in here and you can use it to channel down to a pin like you've done here, I think that's a bit better. I like the elevated approach, I think that's good. We haven't really had one of those yet. I thought that was a slow. As it is, just needs to get a big bounce. Oof. That was so close to being bad. This is a really dicey pin and I like it because you're really challenging people to play that shot and just leave it short of the green, of the pin. I think that's well done. One grass that was on the mountainside broken up a little more, even if not with that much. Okay. Problem you got here is this one is just too downhill and the tee is too elevated from this next bit, because I would love to see that as the view, but we can't quite, let alone what the Jim Gem camera looks like on this one. Green wise it's interesting. There is a lot of the green taken up with red slope. Again, I think you can probably be a bit more efficient with how you're doing it. Oh, I'm on a pitch. I think probably a lob wedge, isn't it? Really cool view. You get to see lots of holes. The fun little wedge shot hole where the elevation is the challenge. I really like that. Like the planting. That's what I think. I'd just love to see a little bit more of that off the tee. But it's a cool hole. It's really nestled in. Like, great spot for a green site. I think I'd just tighten all of this. Like, there's some slopes here that we don't need. They're not really serving a purpose for a pin other than running us off down to this bit. I'd love to have a pin here. That'd be fun. But I think generally, I've got two main takeaways on this course so far. I think in terms of things to improve, bunkering would be one, and then the second is just you've got all the angles and the ideas, just shrink it a little bit. Yeah, the golf has gotten better. Touch blinding off the tee, super short par 5, and we're given a 3-wood off the tee. Interesting. So we can clear this, and we've got next to no club in. Whereas if we bailed out here, and I can see why this is just such an awkward distance of hole to design in terms of the way you've done it, because if we carry this we get everything and it's a super short par 5, but if we didn't and it was a par 4 and we had to lay up here, it's just unfair. So because of the way you've put these bunkers in, it's very much an all or nothing kind of hole. That said, I do like this, the way the fairway's cambered. I think this high mound I'd probably be trying to drop just a bit. Bunkers, again, I think these three sit among the best of the ones you've done, partly because we're looking down on them. Like this one, I think is one of the better shapes you've got. There's a good amount of spacing and width. This one at the back looks very manufactured in how propped up it is. And this one's kind of falling off a little bit as well. Ben looks down on everything. It's not strictly true, but I'm not like 6'8" or anything. Yeah, I think that the far side bunkers are definitely a work in progress, and they're tough to do. In terms of tying this one in, I'd probably go with a bit more planting so that it kind of hides the awkward sculpting around here. So if you put a couple of trees here, that probably hides how flat this part is compared to down here. Just a little. But the view's fantastic. Like, yeah. Love that. It didn't really take that long of a driver, and we've got... it's longer than I thought I would have in. Guess we're slightly into wind. Good green. Like, as in, if you're looking for a blueprint of the size of greens I think you could be using, this would be on the smaller side, but downwind you had 150, and yeah, I mean, I can see that. I like the green site. I'm totally cool with it all being in shadow, even if this stuff is getting very dark, and that's... it's not texture burning, it's just so in shadow. So are we now playing down below the first hole, I want to say? Yeah. Cool. Oh, I wanted it fast. Still, that'll do. Yeah, another bunker where just we're getting a touch narrow on this little finger protrusion thing. I think one other thing to note with green slopes is we kind of go from all to nothing very quickly. Like, if we've got a big kicker slope, let's try and bleed that into the rest of it so it is still sloping a little bit towards the hole rather than going super ridge slope, then flat, then a little bit more slope. Now, just trying to do that will help your greens feel a bit more cohesive. Oh, pushed it. That's disappointing. Still, birdie's good. So these rocks, I think if we're looking at, compared to how we saw Petties last night at Old Stones, and there were just fewer of them, and they were really, really big, and it works really well. Here, I think we just got too many small ones. Like, some of them just look really outplaced. This one, a couple of the ones over here. I like the idea, and it's also, but actually, I wouldn't hate it if we were looking at this sort of sculpted mountain. I think that looks good. I know that's a pain to hear because I'm sure I have no doubt those took you ages. This is a fun green. We've gone narrow. We've gone pretty vertical. The spine is good. Yeah, like this one a lot. Lot of cool bunker layering on the left. Sculpting again is like, it's a little hit and miss. So much strategy. And this sort of bunker layering is really tough because you're doing so much up then down. And the trick is to just gently layer them so that this one is generally slightly lower than this one. So the way to do it is, let's see if we can get a camera up. So let's say we want this one to be lower. Take your oval brush, like one of the first page ones, make it so that it kind of encapsulates the whole bunker, drop it a couple of feet, then have this one, maybe put it at 0, and then this one raise it. So the whole of the 3 bunkers you're just lifting and lowering a little bit. So that basically allows you to get so much of the big sculpting done before you deal with like the nitty-gritty of little ones. Yeah, again, in terms of these ones, I think shape's gone away from you a little bit here, and also this surface is going so near the brow of the hill. You'll notice when you go to here, it looks a bit unnatural with how the sand goes all the way to the top, rather than dropping down where we see the green heavy rough. Loving this sort of chat. That's a tough pin. Yeah, that one was a sleigh. Still got a putt at it. That part. How do you... Well, there we go. Wes has started, he's just been a little bit slower. Now we're back to the water. I don't much love the waypoint. I guess how much more could you have done? I like the hole, I just feel like these bunkers are never in play. Oh, I guess they maybe are, but this hole just is occupying too much ground, I think. We want to be having the same sort of design, but like where this is our view and we're looking this way. Thanks, Chewbacca. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Then they're always really fun to do. You get to see a load of great courses and try to kind of pick them apart is fun. And hopefully show off all the good stuff that goes on. So we're going near that bunker, but I don't think we're ever really in danger of hitting it. Light rough will stop us first. Yeah, just think that tee shot was a bit of a miss in terms of I don't see why those bunkers would ever come into play. Unless you're playing a really short driver and into a very stiff headwind. Interesting green site. Can't say I'm the biggest fan of this pin. Just kind of breaking away in all directions, but we still have a miss. We can leave it down here, but whatever we do, we're faced with a really tough putt. I don't know. It's fine. Zenga is one of those where I would have done it differently. Which is... yeah. Oh, go a little. Damn it. You have to chip in now. Nearly. Oh well. I don't think that hole needed quite as funky a green, given the previous green was very funky as well. And this one's I'm interested as to how tough this pin set plays compared to others, because I feel like this one has had a lot of difficult pins. Really like the ground this one occupies. Just wondering if I think, yeah, this is 3, I think. I think we could get away with less of an apron over here, probably. I mean, I love the look. The planting here is great. When you've got it going into the sun, it is just gorgeous. There's no two ways about that. Bunkering short of this green is great. Your bunkering short of stuff is generally very good. It's at the back where you're finding things, and same here again, like this is high and we want to be lowering that a little bit. Yeah, I wonder whether we've gone with one of those where they get progressively harder. I really hope not. Because if anyone's watching this on YouTube, please don't do that. It's not a good shot. I mean, I am okay with tricky pin positions. I'm okay with ball running away from the hole. That's a rubbish putt. I feel like we've had some similar pin positions on this pin set, and it's quite nice not to pull the same trick twice. Damn it. That was a great little view just back across the waterway. Yeah, we're at the same thing where we've gone really super wide to the extent I think we are looking. And I'm all for width where we're not using it. Well, there's still time. I think we've got 150 yards of width, maybe 100. Definitely a full lob wedge, if not more. And then we come to the landing zone, and it is ludicrously tight, which is what makes this hole look a little bit off, because it's so bulbous down here, and then shrinks. I think the decision you really needed to make was, giving width here and here is fine, but I think you need to make a decision on which side you're giving width, and that will help frame the hole a little bit as well. If we decide we generally want the fairway to be running kind of on this line, so like somewhere down there, then cut the fairway down here, take it further out here, and I think this looks a lot more cohesive as a whole. Or if we want it to really tightly dogleg around these bunkers, well, let's make it come from around here and go up to here and then go. But it kind of looks a little unfocused as a result of this. Now that said, I think we can carry these bunkers. Not with that swing, but we're still fine. Sculpting there's a bit sculpting in and around here is pretty awkward. And I'm going to wager that part of this is because of the shadows. You can't see the slopes that you're working with as well. That's partly why we're blind. So I think a good piece of advice here would be to occasionally just flip the lighting around and make a note of what the settings are. Look at it from another direction. Does the sculpting still make sense? Just especially while you're kind of getting used to big sculpting and stuff like that. Again, cool little green site. Love the promontory it's on. Love that this is parallel with that last hole. Works, like, as in, we've done a nice little triangle to come back. That works nicely. Green slopes, I think, are going counterintuitively. We've got this big mound up here, so the highland is here, the highland is here, and yet we're going from this side down to here. So I think if you're looking for things that make things look a little bit odd, generally just start going with which way is the land generally moving. A lot of generalies in that sentence, but you get the idea. I'm also just never getting close to that pin from where I was, which is on me for missing the fairway. That rock works really nice, and up here, this stuff is great. Somehow have a pretty much dead flat putt. Weird. I tried. Yeah, really enjoying this so far. What hole are we on? 12. Excuse me, I've been going slowly on this one. Again, fun drivable 4. I don't really see why I wouldn't go for it. I know the water is in play, but getting a bit of awkward bunker where you want this side low and this side high, and you kind of only got 2 feet of difference between them at best. In fact, this one's going up again, you can see. That's part of why that's being a little problematic. Let's have a go for it anyway. Slow might help. Whee! And come back. Well, there's the kicker slope as promised. Oh, nearly. Oh, that was fun. Second eagle on the drivable par fours. This is not what we normally do. Okay, ton of fours coming in, which is good. I'm a big fan of a par four. Kind of bunkerless, but this little waste area, I've really enjoyed these and kind of wish you'd have brought them in a little bit more. I mean, the rocks don't look as out of place here, I would say. I still think you could get away with making them bigger, though. As in, not get away. I think making them bigger would help. It's going surprisingly well, isn't it? That's a lovely little view there. Really like that. I mean, Rich did say it was CC level on it. I think it's playing it. Yeah, that could be true. Just generally think fewer of them would help. Like this green site, like the mounds, we've gone back to slightly more internal contouring on this one, rather than we've had a couple of tiers on the last few. Suddenly with this wind, this is a really tricky drive. Because I don't think that this bit of fairway is particularly usable. I'd probably like a little bit more fairway behind this bunker. Just this little area would then make me take 3-wood over there. Hi Matt. As is, I think we're playing there. I mean, the angles work. They really do. You've thought this out. So we want to be coming in from this way. It's a bastard of a pin, whatever we do. Ugh. Don't have a club. If I play to the corner, I'm leaving myself 200 odd in. Ah, well, I think I'm screwed no matter what I do. We can take a shot to nothing. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the bounce I've just had, but that's not on you. Took a chance and it didn't quite pay off. That's okay, we are going for a par, and we're below the hole, which is fine. This is all fine. Almost like it was planned. Hilarious. That is a bridge. Okay, so we could drive over here. Why would we not? I don't think that's a bad option. I feel like this fairway is a little sinewy. I'd like to see this edge straightened up a little bit. Yeah, go for a par, but we'll take a birdie. That's how we roll. I like the natural kind of ravine-y sort of areas you've done here. For me, this area type and this area type have been the two coolest parts of this course. I would like to see a bit more of those used, to be honest. It's been great variety, and lovely sightline again. And whereas I said on a previous hole I thought you wanted to define a bit more how the fairway runs, and this one looks really good. Like, there's a lot of width off the tee, it looks great. I could see people laying up over here. I think that's a viable choice and wouldn't yield them the best option, but it makes sense. Could see people, probably can't really see people trying for this area. I think if you're driving to here, you might as well drive to here. Same distance, right? I think I'd probably try to make this bit a little bit more encouraging, give a bit more fairway just to here. Maybe. I don't know. We'll just put it somewhere in this sort of area. Huh, that just really did not travel. Planting behind the green is good. Planting generally has been very good. And we finished 3, 4, 5. Okay, I was waiting for the longer 3 to come up. I don't think this is... The tunnel is interesting. That's quite cool. I think for a long 3, you've got to allow people to run it on. And here we're just not. This one is a bit of a miss for me because a lot of the slopes are punishing other than this big one at the back. So actually I think I probably have the friendliest pin on this green with where it is. Oh, yep, there's some sculpting there. Yeah, I think this is one I don't really have that much to say other than that I just don't think the idea works. There's very little space to run it on short, and yeah. The fenced off mine area is very cool. Can't miss at the moment. And lovely view from this green side. I love the green side. I just think I'd have allowed a bit more space in front for people to bounce on and run it on. And then, yeah. It's just like on a long par 3 you can have a less quirky green as well. This one's quite nice. We can play a bit further out. Ravine is cool. Did not mean to hit that there. That's very annoying. Still, 167 wind. Somewhere about here. Bounce on. I mean, when your eye's in, it's in. I love that we've gotten all the way up to the top. I think that's... The last 2 climbing holes have been really good to allow you to work up to that big last sight line. It does look a little bit empty back there, but I think actually you've carried it off. And these little rocky formations are really good. I think that's partly why I'd have liked to see a bit more of those rather than the actual rocks that you did use. And we finish on a par 5. I mean, again, I think the same comment on super width. Like we can do the same thing with less space used. There's a fun pin. Like we do have some helping slopes. I think this is one of the best greens you've come up with. I really like the way the slopes integrate together. Does it matter? Yeah. Gotta keep him in work. I presume we're blind from down here, so that works quite nicely. Yeah. I still think you can do this and accomplish all of this with just a little less land used. Oh, be good. That needs to go just a little more. Shame. Oh, it didn't need much more. And then we've only got blue cars in the parking lot, which is a very nice little touch. Little ravine down this left-hand side was cool. I think, yeah, just bring some of those closer to greens and things. Right, let's tap in for par. Anyway, it was birdie, wasn't it? Minus 15. So I think I got insulted on my playing ability around about hole 2. And without even thinking about it, we've gone and just torn the place apart. That was a lot of fun. I thought, environment-wise, really cool, pretty special in terms of looking different to other sorts of courses and giving us something. There was a lot of variety in the looks that we got there. What else? What would I change? I know. Ridiculous. Things I would change. I think I'd like to tuck your greens a little bit closer to hazards, because I think your next step has to be keeping the same amount of angles, and I'd love to see you make a course where you are limiting yourself to 40-yard wide set fairways, because I think that would really make you focus on your angles and just shrinking everything and making it a bit tighter. Planting was great, overall environment was great. Thought a few of the drive ball par fours, I'd like a bit more reason not to go for them. Kind of the same with the fives. Tuck some real trouble in there, and you had some. Yeah, we made 2 pars at the beginning. Yeah, I think there were some really cool native areas that you could have exploited a little bit more. Main things I'd focus on would be that angle stuff and also your bunker sculpting and shaping. I think the two go hand in hand. Alright, but ton of fun, and can totally see this one ending up in the main competition. Although I know Blue has a ton of really good alternates coming through. So yeah, give this one a play. We're going to be back in just about 20 seconds or so. And we're going to play second course of the night, which is the one I can't spell or say. Let's look forward to that.